Sprawl some of that out the window. We'll sprawl some of it onto Gary's desk. But one that doesn't take deposits and you can't withdraw from. But there are fees. Go figure.
What? I'm going to call the meeting to order. I want to acknowledge the Smoking Valley on which we learn, work, and organize as the ancestral traditional unceded territory of the Smokeman people and home of the Upper Smokeman Indian Band. Motion to adopt the agenda as presented.
Make that motion.
Thank you, Councillor Gould. Seconder. Councillor Elliott. Any additions or anything? All in favor? Carried. Adoption of the November 15th regular meeting of council minutes.
Make that motion, Mr. Mayor.
Thank you, Councillor Gould. Seconder. Thank you, Councillor McLean. Any errors or omissions? All in favor? Carried. Thank you. Petitions and delegations. I didn't. Just Carolyn, and nothing from the floor. Okay, so Carolyn, 15 minutes. It's all yours.
Hi guys, so lovely to see everyone again. As you know, I am Princeton's Wildlife BC coordinator that runs from the end of April through the end of November. And I've been doing this now. This is my 6th year as your Wildlife BC coordinator. Yeah, this evening so we're going to talk about that a little bit, why we're doing the program, and then of course I'm going to show you guys all the lovely things I've been doing to educate people about living safely and sustainably in wildlife country. All right, so there it is, 7 years. That's the last 6 years of my, year-end report, cover photos kind of thing. But the program has been running in Princeton for 7 years now, and it's doing a great job of changing the hearts and minds of Princeton residents and really getting them to be aware of the wildlife in the area and what they can do to help the wildlife stay wild and the community safe. All right, Wildlife Alert Reporting Program. So why are we doing this? We've got wildlife in town, right? There's lots of wildlife in the area. We've got bears, cougars, deer, lots of raccoon sightings this year, coyotes, rats, grasshoppers, lots of human-wildlife conflict happening. This year, the Wildlife Alert Reporting Program was having some difficulty connecting with the Conservation Officer Service Program. So the stats I'm going to give you this year are directly from Conservation, but in prior years, they've been from the Wildlife Alert Reporting Program that is usually available year-round for people to view, to see, wildlife activity in the area. They handle all of our reporting, so they follow up on any calls if needed, and they record it for yearly data. Sorry guys, I get, all anxious talking to council here. Easy to call. Okay, so why are we doing this? We have been working towards Bear Smart certification, and how do we do that? I know I've sent you guys all this information in the past, but really it's simple, but not easy, right? So at first we review the kind of wildlife conflict we have in the area, right? So, we know they're moving through our green spaces, 2 streets over in Princeton, and we've got wildlife, right? Coming down our river valleys, through our parks and our green spaces along each side of the valleys. So they're here and they come and go at their own free will. No, not done. So we're just going across the top. You can see it right review your human bear education programs. You didn't have any. You brought in WildSafe BC. Design human bear conflict monitoring system, that would be the RAP line. Waste management system. I mean, back in 2015 when Princeton was looking at having this program, our landfill wasn't even fenced, right? We had deer walking around with overweighty garbage hanging out their bums and you know, lots of wildlife accessing a whole lot of garbage availability, right? But you guys fenced the landfill and it made a huge difference. And steps like that were identified as needing to reduce human-wildlife conflict in the area. Review waste management bylaws, right? We have great bylaws in town where it has to be in a can with a lid to prevent rain and water, but we needed to add a wildlife attractant bylaw and things like that for garbage. Space management strategies, so our green spaces. And then of course, so we had looked at all of that and said, hey, what can we do to improve our residents' safety and not keep attracting wildlife in and killing it off? So we took the steps to become qualified to apply to become a bear smart community for the provincial government. We implemented an education program. That's me. You guys leave it to me to handle. I get lots of content from my BC Conservation Foundation head office. It's a huge province-wide program with consistent messaging and great content and all the solutions you need to work with the public and work with municipalities and businesses to really reduce conflict. Implement bear-proof waste management system. I mean, we're working on that, right? I think I saw a Facebook post about how you guys have put bear-resistant garbage cans into your OCP coming up, so that's fantastic. And public safety. Oh, that'll come to me. Implement of Bear Smart bylaws. You guys have put in a WildSafe BC wildlife attractant management bylaw. So now, you know, it is enforceable to say, hey, you know what, you need to clean up your fruit and not leave garbage out. And then, yeah, revise your OCP. And as we work towards those steps, we will become a Bear Smart certified community. And because public safety is a prerequisite for prosperity, that's the phrase I was looking for, you know, all of these things will really improve public safety and we will be able to prosper. Princeton is so tiny right now that if we get these things solidified in our small town, as we expand, we're going to prevent problem pests with raccoons, rats, skunks, all those other wildlife that so many other communities have problems with. That we don't have yet, but it's all about the garbage and, you know, wildlife is just food motivated. They're always just looking for food. That's what brings them in, and if we can really manage that on our small scale as we grow, we won't have pests like these other communities do. Next. And of course, it's not just about the bears, right? There's like I said, coyotes and all those other animals, rats, raccoons, skunks, you know, at least for the bears, they are so dangerous and so interested in garbage. You know, someone will come in and remove them for you because they're so dangerous. But deer, you can put up a fence, but try keeping a raccoon out of your garden, right? Like, there are worse pests out there. So this year we had 99 calls to the Conservation Officer Service from January 1st through to November 15th, 2023. I would like to point out the variation there may be some discrepancy in the numbers just because of when the season starts and the season ends. So although all numbers start on January 1st, some numbers may be recorded as of November 30th, the end of the WildSafe BC program, and some may be from the full year. So 99 reports to conservation this year. Of those 99 reports, 58 of them were deer, 31 bear, cougar 4, coyote 1, moose 1, raptor 2, elk 1, and other 1. And I got some notes on my PowerPoint there of, the numbers from 2022 and 2021 for wildlife numbers. I believe bear was pretty consistent at like 38 and 32 in prior years, and deer was around the 40 calls a year mark. Next, please. Yeah, so Princeton residents love their wildlife. So out of those 99 calls, 48 were for injured or distressed wildlife, right? The deer's got its foot stuck in something, stuck in a fence, right? They love our wildlife here. And that is consistent with every year. Every year, the highest number of calls is all about injured or distressed wildlife. And then orphaned, or sightings, or dead. I mean, those are the top numbers of the calls that are going to wildlife, to the Conservation Officer Service for wildlife in conflict. 3 calls were near a school, park, or a playground. 2 were for a bear, 1 was for a cougar. But the cougar, had a lot of interest in it because it was on the hill behind the elementary school. 2 were for confined. That could be maybe a deer stuck in a fence, like it gets stuck in the school bus yard quite often, or maybe a bear stuck in a vehicle, that sort of thing. 3 were for livestock, pet casualties. All 3 were for May. When a bear, believed to be the same one, was getting into chicken coops in the area. So it was for chicken, and it came back multiple times. 1 was for human injury in June, which was someone out walking their dog, and a deer, charged them. Everyone was okay, but just the 1 report all year. And 8 for food conditioned. And I had no. And there should be 1 for aggressive wildlife on there. Must have just forgot to put it in. There was 8 reports for aggressive wildlife. 2 were in June, or sort of January. What does my note say there? Aggressive should be at the bottom.
2 bear, 4 deer, 2 in January, 1 down.
Yeah, and then a couple in the fall with the bears over the food. So a total of, it was 8, wasn't it? 8 aggressive. 6, 8, 7, 8. So very minimal, interactions of human-wildlife conflict on an aggressive scale that were reported. Anecdotally, I heard about, deer attacking dogs, possibly a dead dog, that sort of thing, but nothing was ever confirmed and nothing was ever reported to conservation. Next, please. So my program this summer, super fun, 10 presentations to the youth, teachers in town who are new to town, explain they learned something helpful, to live in wildlife country. Did a new event this year, the Teddy Bear Picnic event, and had, about 150 people turn out. Did that in collaboration with Princeton and District Community Chamber of Commerce, I think it was, and it was a great event and super fun. When I'm out doing my errands around town, I have people coming up to me saying, my son or daughter wants a deer head cake for their birthday now, and a bear pinata. And on another occasion, I was actually doing business pledges and talking to the managers in town. And it was a grandmother, and she said whenever her grandson comes to visit, he was going to a housing range presentation, I believe, last year. He's reminding all her neighbors that they have to pick their apples. So, so it's really neat to hear that the kids really love the program. They really have learned to love the wildlife. When I go back to kids that have taken it before, they're demonstrating a real improvement in knowledge of how to stay safe in wildlife country, and the wildlife is in the area. So that's great. Presentations, adult presentations. So I did bear spray workshops and living safely in wildlife country presentations. 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 of them this year, which is great. People who take the wildlife encounter and bear spray presentations who haven't been out walking their dog, they're scared to go out, they're scared of the wildlife in the area, or they've had an undesirable encounter, say they feel much more prepared and are out back walking again with their bear spray once they've taken a bear spray workshop. So it's really getting people back out into the community. And of course, in each presentation that's, lots of fun, very engaging, and providing them with a variety of wildlife encounter scenarios, not just bear, but of course deer, cougar. I always provide a component of, wildlife behavior. They're so food motivated. Always looking for food, and then how to, reduce their conflict with wildlife when they're not just out in the wild, close to their homes as well. I would like to mention that when I do the presentations for the school groups, I modify it. So I don't teach the kids, they're not going to be out in the woods by themselves, right? They're not going to be carrying bear spray, right? So I talk to them about our urban deer. And you actually, wild deer, you go boo, and they run away, right? Urban deer, they're not afraid of people, right? And there's a totally different process to staying safe while navigating around them on our streets and walking to the bus safely than it would be for a wild animal. And so next. Educational booths, so much fun this year. I did 23 booths. They were very, very popular. I talked to over 1,320 people. That number is quite a bit lower than last year, but I really tried to capture the actual amount of people I talked to. Influenced the interest of youth in the area, and I supported community events and really provided a really interactive booth with a wildlife leap, see if you can jump as far as wildlife, a skeleton scramble, mask making, and of course all of the coloring pages, activity pages, books, and of course wildlife brochures and content and info for all ages to live safely and sustainably. Garbage bin tagging. I heard something a little earlier about how someone got tagged. Well, I'm happy to say in that neighborhood there are no more garbages out on the curb ever in the last couple of years, so that's been fabulous. It really works. While I was out garbage tagging, someone was in their houseboat with the towel on their head, put their garbage on the curb the night before. I pulled over, we had a lovely chat. She was a self-proclaimed newbie to the area, and after realizing there was bears and that it wasn't safe to either keep her garbage inside her fence or on her porch, she took it back inside and said she would continue to do so in the future. So, really positive outcomes. That the garbage tagging doesn't just tag bins, it really starts some conversations, especially in the summertime when it's still light out. People see you coming and they're like, hey, what are you doing near my bin? And you get to have a great chat and help them make better decisions to keep the wildlife community safe. Also, nobody likes to be put on a list, right? Right? And it also has the potential to forward repeat offenders to bylaw if necessary. And we can work with that in the future. Door-to-door education. Spoke with 113 people, 167 door hangers. Connected residents that want to remove trees to fire smart. Talked with residents not reached by other avenues of the program. So people who aren't on social media, who aren't coming out to the booths or the market or the public events. And right on their front door, often there's the cat food there and the garbage here and the apples there, and I have really great conversations with people, and they're like, I'm having troubles, picking my apples or managing my garbage, and I help them come up with solutions, like putting their garbage can in their trailer instead of their house, and finding them some help with the apples, that sort of thing, and of course, possibly, forwarding that 10% on to people who require a little bit of enforcement. And the residents also really share the wildlife activity that's happening in the area. I had a bear in my backyard. There was a bear walking down the street last night. I ran into a deer when I was walking my dog, that sort of thing. Raccoons, rats. Gives me a chance to, find out what's happening in each neighborhood. And of course the picture, I'll take a picture when I'm going to a neighborhood, post it on social media, do a blurb about wildlife attractants and that I'm going to be be out there. If people want to come talk to me, go with it. Full circle. Education. So there's that social media. I did 118 local posts in addition to posting the weekly Wild Wednesday, which is like a wildlife video from my head office in Kamloops there. My Facebook followers grew from 465 to 515. I got a lot more interaction on the page this year. People were really engaging and asking questions and having opinions and generated a lot more conversation, which was really great. And of course, people really love wildlife in Princeton, so they love the educational posts about wildlife, about the deer and their life cycle and things like that. There's also a great source of info for wildlife activity in the area. When I collaborated with the town staff downstairs to create posts regarding changes in the curbside garbage pickup schedule. I'm sure you noticed on that the graph there, the garbage pickup schedule, that weekends with the staff holiday, which change in the regular pickup really sees a spike in garbage. The Wilds ABC Business Pledge. Copper Mountain Mine participated in the pledge again this year, and I had a lot of other people that were willing to sign up, but I spent my time working with businesses in the area that were not in compliance. So down the bottom there, you've got a business that the bears were getting into their garbage. Because of, garbage tagging and being out in the community, I had taken repeated photos of this bin that the bear had been in multiple times. I put together a letter with a variety of pictures and, provided solutions, bin links and things like that where they could purchase replacements. It made a difference. I mean, they replaced the bins. They went with their own style, which is I'm really impressed with. I think it should be looked at as a feasible solution for a lot of places. There's no lip for the bear to get a grip on. Very wildlife proof, which is excellent. And to, prevent all kinds of wildlife in that area. And again, on the right there, another garbage that, the bear was following the employees home at night when they were getting off work. They were frequenting this area really frequently because this garbage was all available. Seen a lot of bear activity in that area multiple times over the years. So, but after talking to staff and things like that, and it's all about staff training for when they already have a metal bin, it's about closing it and latching it, right? And it'll keep all sorts of wildlife out. So, and those businesses will be eligible for participating in the Wild Safe BC Business Pledge next year. Wildlife in area signs. Again, lots of wildlife activity. That one's from the dog off leash area. It's a hot spot. The does like to put their fawns in that treed area there to lay down quietly and eat the grass. And of course, lots of traffic on the KVR. Dog's off leash. It finds the fawn in the bush, and the does come running to its defense, and conflict ensues. And then, when the does are on high alert, it creates problems for every single person walking through that area after, the weeks following. Something I did want to mention in that green space plan, and something I put in previous things, and you guys did a great job this year, was keeping the grass mowed along the KVR to create that area where you could actually see, if there was wildlife there, just includes your line of sight, and providing bears garbage cans all along the trail so that there's no wildlife's not getting into garbage. And on the right, I'm collaborating with the Whistling Kettle Disc Golf Course, and they're right between the Maple Cross Meadows Nature Trust Reserve and the Swan Lake Bird Sanctuary, and they see lots of wildlife passing through their area, and they've also had a lot of problems with people having a picnic and then just leaving their stuff behind and attracting wildlife in. So they're looking for some signage to help people make better choices about leaving their garbage and things like that behind, and food and things. So, we're working on It's not the final draft, but it's in the process of looking something like that. Next. Right, so challenges. Removing human-wildlife conflict is simple, but not easy, right? Wildlife is food motivated. They're looking for food all the time. It's not a bad thing. They just, don't have one spot to go to all the time. They've got to cover a lot of ground to find it. And that will bring them into our community. And I can make people aware of that and help them know what those solutions are to not encourage wildlife to come to their house. But there are 3 key pieces that are required to prevent human-wildlife conflict. That's education, what I'm doing, wildlife-resistant infrastructure, so it makes it possible for people to manage their garbage, residentially and business and town, and then of course enforcement for the last 10% of people who just don't want to make the added effort that's required to prevent wildlife from getting into their stuff. People feel unprepared to safely encounter wildlife while walking within town limits. But I am changing those hearts and minds and helping them improve, but it is still a challenge, especially for a lot of the new people moving to town who are even just afraid of dogs. I'm noticing. They're really weary of the wildlife, and they act in a way, jump, scream, run, right? You never want to run. So, helping them be more prepared to encounter wildlife will help them be safer. People new to living in wildlife country are at a higher risk for conflict as they have less knowledge about wildlife behaviors or even that they are here, right? A lot of the new people who move to town that I talk to, they don't know we've had bears here. Visitors to the community want to feed the wildlife and be close to it. I was walking my dog on the KVR, and there's a lady there with her dog that's, she's standing right in front of the deer over by the subway over there. She stopped for a pee and a snack, and she was introducing her dog to the deer. She thought it was so cute. And the deer's like on guard, so I stopped and said, hey, you know what, that deer could charge your dog, and we had a nice chat about it, and she was like, oh, I had no idea they saw dogs as a threat, so helped improve her safety for future traveling through Princeton, and prevented a disastrous outcome. And our local mule deer are habituated. That means unafraid of people, right? So when they're unafraid of people, if they're challenging your dog or charging your dog or walk around the corner of a house and you're there, they're not going to run away from you, right? They feel threatened in any way. It creates a dangerous interaction. And garbage. It is all about the garbage. And it's also one of the things we can really lock down the most, right? So it's all about the garbage for all the wildlife, for the deer, for the bears, for the raccoons, for the rats. I mean, we saw in the news this year how the Lower Mainland and so many communities were dealing with rat problems, and it identified it as garbage and birdseed. But if we start with the garbage, we can work on all the other things that come after. But really, that's something we can manage as a group working together, and it will make the biggest difference. So opportunities. We've already come so far. Those numbers on the garbage tagging are way down, right? People know about the Wild Safe BC program now, and they love it. The kids love it. If you're not new to town, you've probably heard about it. Whereas when I first started, nobody knew about it, and it's really built on the years it's been here. And we can continue to work towards our provincial Bear Smart certification. We can have someone come in and do an assessment and really, itemize the things that I've just talked about with you tonight to work towards it, but I think we're doing a really great job to get there on our own already. As we've, chatted with bylaw and things like that, we're already taking the actions with our bylaw, with our, wildlife attractant bylaw, with our education program, with our bear-resistant infrastructure, our fenced landfill. We're really taking the steps towards making that happen all on our own without, someone coming in and saying, hey, you've got bears in the area. For myself, maintain and further develop relationships with the Conservation Officer Service and local bylaw officers. Like I said, we're really built on the education program, and I think that it may be beneficial to involve a little bit more enforcement if that's what we figure out in the future years. Replace Town of Princeton garbage bins with bear-resistant ones. Yeah, like I said, I saw a Facebook post that you guys were going to do that, and I'm so proud of you. That's really fantastic. Continue wildlife encounter and bear spray workshops with a focus on urban deer. Continue to increase the followers of the Wildlife BC Princeton Facebook page with relevant content. Continue education on attractant management through door-to-door canvassing, presentations for general public, community groups, schools, and booths. I collaborate a lot with the Vermilion Forks field naturalists and businesses in the area, and the schools and the library and all the community groups. And it's lots of fun, and people really appreciate the information. Continue tagging, engage businesses using the Wild Safe BC Business Pledge, support campgrounds in the area, if there's funding for that, continue to foster and build relationships with local community groups, and educate residents in the proper management of chicken coops. So, yeah, next. Wild Safe BC works. Increases compliance in wildlife attractant management with less need for enforcement. The public that participates in the program reports feeling more prepared and confident living and walking in wildlife country, and it reduces the number of bears that become habituated and need to be destroyed. And thank you guys for, knowing how important this program is and having it happen every year. And the provincial government, of course, that provides a lot of the funding for the program. And of course, all local wildlife, which wouldn't be possible without it. And we've got all these. It's a real keystone of our attraction for our community. So, we should protect it and keep our community safe and the wildlife sustainable and all that good stuff. So, yeah. So that was my season this year, and a little bit of an overview of what we're working towards. Do you guys have any questions?
Does anybody have any questions?
I do,
Yep.
Carolyn.
Yeah.
Thank you for all that information. How close are we to becoming a Bear Smart community?
Can we go back to that slide?
Are we years away, or are we?
Well, I think we're just waiting on the bear-resistant garbage cans for the downtown core in our community, and then we're there, right? We've got the education, we've got the bylaw in place. We've identified areas wildlife is coming into town and where they congregate.
And then do they do an assessment? Does the Wild Safe BC come in and do an assessment and determine that we are?
The provincial government has a program, yes, in correlation with the Conservation Officer Service that evaluates our eligibility to become certified. Yeah, and then it's on the provincial government website. You can see all the communities that are currently participating and have recognition for it. And
Thank you.
yeah, you betcha.
Anybody else? Thank you.
Yeah, you bet.
Okay. We'll go to staff report. 6.1 is a UBCM grant application to support the Town of Princeton Volunteer Fire Department. Ed?
Mayor Coyne, Council. The correction here is this is not, my apologies, not a fire department initiative. This is from the public safety side of my job.
Thank you. I was questioning that when I saw it.
Yeah,
I'm not gonna-
sorry. So this report is concerning a lot of issues in our community, working with the professional agencies that manage public health, mental health, policing, court system. It's bringing those groups and individuals together to discuss singular situations or individuals, families, from a holistic perspective. Maybe contact. It's a I'm requesting that the town the town applies to receive and manage a collaborative public safety program grant to support the creation of a situation table within the town of Princeton and the surrounding areas. That the council also authorizes the CAO and mayor to sign any agreements necessary for this table to exist. Associated to the grant. If it's as needed, the situation table can get off the ground with a $500, then the strategize together, and that would be my function, my role.
So we first started talking about this, myself and Inspector DeJager, when he was in Penticton. And unfortunately, it all, with COVID and everything else, it kind of all went away. And Maureen and Ed brought it back or brought it to me about a month ago.
Yeah.
And I was excited to see it would come back because it can do a really good job. They have one in Penticton, and it's working. So if anybody has any questions of Ed or...
On the page 13, there's a sample letter and an address, and I would encourage anybody that would feel if this would support the community to set it off in support to Mr. Bajwa.
Councillor Elliott?
I've read the report, but so you can tell us here in the room, who would you see as potential stakeholders who would be considered on that page?
That's very much yet to be determined, and each community has a different list.
Okay, what was your wishes?
RCMP, Ministry of Health, IHA, just to get us off to the start. I wouldn't exclude anyone that had good information to provide or to be part of this, but
It's usually the regular players.
yeah, it's very much getting the right people in the room for possibly just a single circumstance.
Councillor McLean?
The ones that operate in Penticton are all
I can't say. I don't know.
sorry,
I don't know. I would expect it would be more than once a month.
seems like a good idea to me, but they're asking all ideas of people to participate in this. And as a result of that, I would see that once you got it set up,
first started the one in Penticton, it was pretty much everybody who was dealing with the same situation every day, they would get together and deal with it as a, as a group instead of one-on-one, which then helped them be able to provide wraparound services and everything to get people the appropriate support that they needed. So it wasn't that there was more work, it was just directing that the effort into a better space than the way it was before. Because right now we all operate on our own, right? So, one person's going one way, another person's going another way. We might be trying to support the same person just in different ways. This kind of brings everybody to the same table to make sure that they don't end up back in jail or in a different situation, so.
Reading a lot of personal public help for certain members of our community. What I first thought it was when I first read it was something that could be utilized in case of fire, flood, certain situations, so that agencies were connected, already connected, or familiar with what their job would be in the case of something happening.
Yeah.
Am I going too far?
That's not necessarily the intent of this request, but it's very much the other half of what I do. I'm your linkage to all those other agencies for that purpose. This is specifically to assist individuals who are chronically falling through the cracks and not accessing services that are available or that may they may not know about that are available in other locations. In other jurisdictions, the workload falls to the RCMP from the same individuals as that's how the RCMP because they're not being independently called by individuals for that contact or breaking up a disturbance caused by medication or lack of or inappropriate services are done. Those linkages are made and those people are getting the services.
So I agree with all that. That's great. I guess what I'm getting at is that I would have loved to see something like this done for flood preparation, fire preparation or something. Not that we had to meet every 2 minutes or every month or whatever, but at some point in time getting things coordinated. As we all know, with the way the flood came, things fell through the cracks. And we should have learned from that. And if we just regurgitate that information among the people that are in charge of things at that time, it would seem to be a worthwhile process to be able to look forward so that, people had gone over, reminded about, because, there's turnover and people moving away and everything else. So just if we, at some point in time, once a year, once every 6 months or something, getting together and just renewing procedure and something that is
Yes, deviating from this topic, I could further explain some of the linkages that I'm involved with on my desk day to day. Most recently, the river watch that we went through the last 12 days. I'm on the phone with the Region District, other municipalities, this province, other jurisdictions, fire departments, discussing working together on that very topic. So, unless you would like more clarification, something that I can do.
Is council direction on this?
I move that we proceed.
Doesn't cost anything.
I'll second that.
Thank you. Councillor Elliott, Councillor Gould seconded. Any other comments? All in favor? Carried. Thank you. 6.2 is the adoption of the BC Transit 2023 fare review report. CAO.
Yes, this is actually a move to introduce and transition to a new fare collection system by BC Transit. The existing system has been deemed at the end of its life. The new system is called UMO, and it is a more convenient and easier system for the users to use. The users can use an app on their phone or a smart card that they can reload, and of course, cash is always available to use as well. There really is no financial change for us. The changes actually works out to less than 1% difference in income for us. It doesn't really change anything. The new program will be rolled out in 2024. They have done a couple pilot projects with some of the larger centers this year to see how this works and work out the bugs, and then they'll roll it out provincial-wide here in 2024.
I have a question. We are, like our provider that runs the BC Transit is Community Services.
Yes.
Are they collaborated with in regards to this? Because a lot of their clients are the ones that are going to need to be able to use this technology.
The introduction of this will be led by BC Transit, and so they'll do this big campaign, and it does require some equipment changes on the buses so that they can tap and whatever and stuff. So they'll be working with our contractor on that,
Okay.
and all the buses will be updated.
And every bus in the province will be changed.
Yes.
It's
Yeah.
not just us.
Yeah.
We get a vote on it, but it really doesn't matter. It's happening.
Yeah.
It says in 2023, so we have like only a few weeks left in 2023. So is it?
They've adopted it already.
Yeah. They've done a pilot project, but by the end of February 2024, they would like everyone to sign off agreeing to it. So.
I think at UBCM they had UBCM or so one of the two they had a thing about this where one of the workshops was about this program. You have your hand up?
Yeah, I just wanted to extend on what Councilor Gould said, is that, remember, one of the options is still cash, right? So some people may not really grasp what the technology can still do with cash. Another thing I liked about this option was the floating 30-day pass as opposed to being stuck to the first of the month.
Right.
Yeah. So this makes it a little more flexible as well.
Yes, that's correct. Yeah.
Any other questions? Somebody want to make a motion?
I'll make that motion.
Thank you. Councilor Gould, seconder. Councilor McLean, got your hand up just before you. All in favor? Carried. Thank you. Next one is Health and Wellness Aquatic Center, CAO.
Yes, we're going to make another run at this. The existing pool is now 56, going on 57 years old, and it really is a challenge to keep it going. It's at the end of its serviceable life. We have engaged the community on numerous occasions. We've produced many different designs. Previous attempts have failed at referendum or lack of grant funding. Staff are recommending that we engage Barrie Architects and challenge them to come up with a new and innovative design that will meet the needs of the community and yet be affordable. So looking at some out-of-the-box thinking ideas, and staff and council have discussed a few ideas, and so we'll be working with an architect to try and see if we can't work out something that might be doable for us. If awarded, the work would commence immediately. So.
And the money's coming from the amenity fund.
Yes.
Set there for that.
Yeah, exactly.
Questions?
So in the report from the architect, the proposal does not include the 2D elevation virtual reality walkthroughs, but then it also says structural, mechanical, electrical, or any other specialized engineering. So that doesn't include.
No, it definitely would not produce construction drawings. It's just really presentation drawings so that we can go look for grant funding or community presentations or whatever. So
then the actual cost of building it could change. But it's just
absolutely,
an idea
yeah.
based on the scope.
Yes.
We have another shop ready.
Yep, exactly. And this will give us some high-level costs as well. They call it a Class D estimate.
Okay.
Which
And
is
then,
enough to look for grants on.
which is, yeah. And then again, I know it's hard to swallow another, what is it, 24, almost 25,000 plus GST, but it's a requirement for any.
really, if you don't have something that detailed to back up your application, then it's not even.
Yeah.
So we've been told a couple times now that if we don't have anything grant ready, like shelf ready, then those grants, when they come up, we're not gonna get like an option on, right? They've been very clear the last little while that the grant money is starting to dry up, so the windows are starting to dry up. They're not gonna give you time to present something that you don't have ready. So.
Yeah, so just more than, I know it doesn't, like, it's a tough one to swallow, but it's cost of doing business.
Yes.
And with everything changing
Yeah.
each year, we do need to be ready to act.
Yeah, it's a major piece of infrastructure, and we have to have our ducks in order, so.
Thank you.
And there's a couple elections coming up, so who knows? Funds might come up. Okay, council's wishes. Making a motion. Thank you. Council McLean, seconder.
I'll second.
Council Gould. Any last chance for comment? All in favor? That is carried. Thank you. Council reports. Let's start with Councilor Gould.
I attended that budgeting 101, municipal budgeting 101 in Kamloops on the 17th, I think it was. And then we'll have, and then, yeah, I attended the AGM for the Pickleball Association, and they elected a new president, and that is Barry Ovington. He is the new president of the association. And yeah, there's a letter coming up in here that I'll let.
Councilor McLean.
Council Gould and I attended, Bernie requested one Kimberly to study the municipal working and how they operate. We had time left over to attend the hockey games in Boston. And we got up to the second game when we were, with that win, we were 11 wins in a row. I'm not sure I don't have the records, but I'm pretty sure it was one of the longest stretches that any Boston team has accomplished in the 20-something year history. And it was fun. But we found that their municipalities were far behind us in terms of how they operate and everything else. The fields are pretty far.
Do you have anything to add to that, Councilor Gould, since you're smirking?
Facility-wise, I think our arena is still far superior. Like, although Fernie Arena does go all the way around, it's like climbing a ladder.
If anybody from Fernie's listening, we're not trying to slag you here.
Somebody had to hold my hand for me to get up there.
Oh, I used to be friends with the previous mayor from there. So. Okay. Councillor Elliott, can you top any of this?
I can try, but I don't think I'll succeed. Been a busy month for me. Aside from attending the Remembrance Day service with Mayor Coyne, I've been to a few museum meetings. I've been to Kelowna 3 times in the span of a week for Okanagan Regional Library Board meetings, including 2 days of strategic planning session, which I'm pleased to say did not include colored dots. That part just drives me nuts when we do these kinds of things, and fortunately that was not the way it's done. I also attended a Canadian Mental Health Association meeting in Penticton, and I'm back in the webcast booth at the Aussie Games, and I'm having a blast. Working with a 16-year-old who doesn't play-by-play, and I do color commentary, and I'm just really enjoying it. I have a great time watching a successful team with their run. It's been a lot of fun, and that's my report. Good job, Ed.
Thanks. And happy birthday, by the way, George. I know we said it earlier, but I want to say it again. Let's see. Just trying to find out when we had our last meeting. I think it was the 15th. Been pretty busy. I went to Victoria and had a couple good chats with some members of the government. And then, on the 22nd, I got to go to Vermilion Forks, where I talked to grade 6 and 7s about the different levels of government for their civics class. And then I did, just trying to look here. Oh, we had done quite a bit. So I'm just trying to figure out what's the most important stuff here. I met with the BC chapter of the Climate Caucus on December 1st, where we discussed some of the issues that are facing local governments in BC. On Monday, I met with the president of Weyerhaeuser and the Weyerhaeuser Timberlands team. They're preparing to go to, I think they're on their way to Japan on a trade mission there. So, and then today we had a budget meeting with the regional district this morning. Next week, I'm going up to Copper Mountain to look at the environmental work that's been done up there. And yesterday we met with staff and myself and met with the airport development team, and just went over some of the things that are next step since we met with the ALC. Just kind of follow up from that, and I think that's the highlights. Oh, and I attended what was it called? Light Up the other day. And before that, Lyle and I sat in on the weather update from the province. Just giving us a heads up, that was kind of a little bit of a shocker that day, because everything was fine until we got a call around lunchtime saying that there was a meeting. So, but the weather forecast. So that's my report. There's nothing, then we'll move on to.
Just curious, has any progress been made on with regard to enforcement here in terms of utilization?
Sort of. So for our area, yes, we're actually logging up in, I think, the Paul Creek area right now. The upper, lower, and Weyerhaeuser came to an agreement, and we're able to secure permits to move forward on that. So that is pretty much all we're logging right now. Like, that's the primary stuff
Has
that's being
that
logged.
been the holdup, the dams or something, or what?
No.
I
It's
read something about
BC.
safety.
There's some safety issues, yeah, because of the burn. But BC Timber Sales is the holdup for the fire salvage. They have to issue the permits because it's almost all BC Timber Sales license areas, and they're taking over a year to get permits out, which renders the wood useless. So that's why when we were at UBCM, I brought it up with the minister and with the premier that when we don't get it cut in the right amount of time, not only do we lose the saw log value, which decreases the stumpage rate, which leaves millions upon millions of dollars on the table for the province. It also delays regen, so I think it's very important that we keep hammering that fact home, that we're losing money as a province, which means hospitals and schools and those things don't get funded. So
You were insinuating there has been
there's some movement, but not a lot. But we're okay right now. Okay, number 8 is correspondence received and file. The first one is a letter from Leah Ward, the program facilitator for the Matrix 2.0. And actually, I would love to have this one sent over to Gary so that when he's doing future planning, he can see what the youth of the community are asking for. So I don't know if we have to have a motion for that, but Gary, if you could add that to your files. Number 2 is a letter from the Pickleball Association letting us know that they were successful in a grant from Weyerhaeuser. Number 3 is a letter from the Minister of Housing about the new legislation. Number 4 is an email from the Ministry of Emergency Management and Climate Readiness, letting us know about the new legislation. 5 is a letter from the BC United talking about Bill 45. 6 is a letter from Recurrent Energy about the solar array that's going up by Aspen Grove. And number 7 is a letter from the Ministry of Water, Land, and Resource Stewardship, just to follow up from UBCM. Looking for comments? Yep, go ahead.
If I could, so 8.2, I just want to kind of bring forward on that. It can be received and filed. I just want to have some attention brought to it that with the funding that they're getting from Weyerhaeuser, it has a 12-month window attached to it. So some work will need to be started sooner than later in regards to that, in regards to funding and location. And the Weyerhaeuser's also allocating construction equipment to do some work. So my request would be to have staff send a letter to the Pickleball Association to set up a meeting soon to talk about budget, location, and parameters around the development of that football court.
Seconder. Somebody want to second that? Discussion? No discussion? Okay, I'll call the question. All in favor? Okay. And can we get a motion to receive and file the rest?
I'll do that motion.
Seconder? Councilor McLean, any comments, questions?
No.
All in favor? Carried. There you go. And number 10 is the official community plan, number 1044-2023, recommendation that council give third reading to the official community plan, number 1044-2023, and this is after we had our public hearing earlier today. So I don't know if anybody has any more questions, but we have taken our time on this, so Councilor Elliott.
Sorry, no, I was moving.
Okay. Thank you. Seconder? Councilor McLean. Any last questions or comments before we call? All in favor? Carried. Thank you. So that will go to fourth and adoption next meeting, right? Perfect. There's no new business, so that brings us to 12.1 and motion to close. That the meeting be closed to the public for the purpose of considering the following 90.1E, acquisition, disposition, or expropriation of land or improvements if the council considers that disclosure could reasonably be expected to harm the interests of the municipality, and 90.1F, law enforcement if the council considers that disclosure could reasonably be expected to harm the conduct of an investigation under enforcement of an enactment.
Make that motion, Mr. Mayor.
Thank you. Seconder? McLean. Any discussion over that? All in favor? Carried. Thank you, and goodbye everybody online.